talking about Israel's response to October 7th, you say an analogy would be America's response to attacks from Indian reservations in the 19th century. In Gaza, Israel isn't fighting citizens of another country. It's fighting people who hold no citizenship because Israel forced them from their land and now confines them in a coastal ghetto. It's hard to find contemporary analogies for that kind of war because it's a throwback to the colonial age. It strikes me the U.S. was in many ways very successful at eradicating native resistance.
Yes.
In many ways it wasn't, and native resistance continues today. But it seems like there is an argument to be made, and I'm not making this argument, but I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on it, that Israelis could model a defeat of Hamas on a defeat of an indigenous group in the U.S. How would you respond to that?
Yeah. So I think it's a really important question. I wouldn't say that Israel would defeat Hamas. I think it's possible that Israel could defeat the Palestinian people, that Israel could defeat Palestinians by destroying Palestinians, right? As you say, we could call this the American solution to the Palestinian problem, right? As the United States in the 19th century moved west, we did not create a two-state solution in which we said, you can have all the land west of the Mississippi River, right? The United States continued that project. It took multiple generations, right? In which not all of the Native Americans were killed, but so many of them were killed and destroyed that they could not act functionally as a political resistance in that same way. Again, there are still Native Americans who do resist in various ways, but they're almost peripheral now to kind of most white Americans' consciousness because they don't represent the kind of threat that Palestinian groups represent to Israel. So I think that is possible. In some ways, this you could say is like the macro historical question, which is to say, can Israel in the 21st century do what the United States did in the 19th century and many other settler colonial, and other kinds of did in earlier moments in history? I think it's very much an open question, right? Progressives, because we tend to think that history is a story of progress, want to believe that that's not possible, right? And I think in a sense, what the Benjamin Netanyahus and Donald Trumps in the world, right, who have a very different view of history, are saying is, just watch us, right? Who says that this is the case, right? Actually not on a trajectory in which international law is becoming stronger, but it's becoming weaker. A world of rising authoritarianism around the world, a world in which climate change is putting pressure on these very fragile norms. And so it is possible that this could happen. And I think we would be living in the moral wreckage of the enormity of that horror. And I think it would also fundamentally have changed the way many of us think about Judaism and Jewish tradition itself, if this was what actually a Jewish experience of political power turned into. But I think that we have to work as hard as we can to make sure that it doesn't happen, because I think the consequences will be not only catastrophic for Palestinians, but will be catastrophic for Jews and indeed for the whole world.